Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the Joshua Wren podcast. Merry, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2016. I hope everyone's going to make it a productive one. I know I'm going to try. I had a good night last night. I hope everyone else did. Straight on to business. I spoke on my last episode about doing this one, um, all reflecting upon my addiction and my journey from being an unhealthy person, a very unhealthy person, to becoming a healthy person. I was previously over 300 pounds. I think the heaviest I got was 22 stone exactly, which is 308 pounds. I'm 6 foot 2, so I can carry a little bit more weight than normal people, but I was big. I'll tweet pictures out later on my Twitter. I was a big old boy. I was overweight, massively overweight, and as such had health complications. Um, Bad knees, bad joints, bad heart, migraines constantly, all of that good stuff. But I wasn't always that way. I started most of my early life until I was about 20, 21 as quite the athlete, really. I represented the county in athletics. I played basketball to a reasonably high level. I skated a lot. I was one of those annoying kids who didn't need to eat healthily or do any actual formal regimented training. I could just skate and play, and eat what I wanted. And my mum and my dad always said it'll catch up with me. No, no, not me. I'm different. And then lo and behold, when I went to uni and stopped exercising as much, I completely piled it on. And I don't drink that much. I never have drank that much. I didn't drink when I first went to uni, so it wasn't the drink. It was the fact that my girlfriend and I at the time had a very small amount of money. We had something silly like between £5 and £10 a week for food between two of us. So it would be toast. We'd go out and buy 5 or 6 loaves of bread and a couple of blocks of butter, and that would last us the week. Um, so I started uni, I think about 16 or 17 stone. As I say, I'm 6 foot 2, so my healthy weight is probably 15 stone. But I was a little bit over that, admittedly, but I got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the justification was, I'll get to that later. I always told myself, you'll deal with it when you can, and I did. But I came to realize that that was just a justification to feed my addiction or to justify my addiction, and that looking back, addiction was something I'd always kind of battled against but not realized. I was addicted to skating and I was addicted to basketball. If I didn't do either of them, I would freak out. I think it comes kind of from my low level autism. Um, I get really obsessed with things, and some of them can be healthy. Skating was relatively healthy. Basketball was very healthy. Athletics was very healthy. But chocolate's not healthy. It's it was anyway. The justification to feed my addiction wasn't apparent to me until I became unheavy, and no one was going to tell me otherwise. Again, feeding into the addiction framework. I went all through uni with this and got to the point where I was 308 pounds. I was very, very big and very unhealthy. Um, Part of it was energy drinks. It was crappy uni food. It was working till 3 in the morning in the library, and you're not going to take a salad with you. You're going to get something from a vending machine and coffee, and it got to be too much. When I finished uni, I got a job with a big company, and one of the first things they did was sent me on a training course to Las Vegas. Very lucky boy, very, very lucky boy. One of the first things that happened to me in this company. Transatlantic flight, non-stop, all the way from London to Vegas. It was 13 hours. And when I got to the other side, um, I was tired. I haven't experienced jet lag before. I was tired and I was in pain and I was sore, but I just put that down with the stress of flying. I hate flying. Next day, fine. I thought it was just jet lag. Day after that, my left arm went numb and my chest went tight. And in typical English fashion, I thought it's nothing. I'll play it off. I'll go to a clinic at the end of the day, but it's fine. And it got worse and worse and worse. And I eventually had to go to hospital. I don't. Maybe someone who listens to America can confirm this, but I went to go to a clinic, phoned a cab, can we go to a clinic, please? And the cab driver called ahead of time. I don't know whether that's just they do that for everyone or if it's just medical things, but the cab driver called the clinic ahead of time, I'm bringing someone down. And they said, don't bother coming here, go to hospital. Went to hospital, and they did all the tests, EKG, ECG, various traces and MRIs and things. What else did they do? Not an angiogram, an ultrasound. And they found out that I was having a DVT, or what they thought was a DVT at the time. And this can happen to anyone. However, it was highly exacerbated being the weight I was. This happened the third day I was there, and it was a month-long trip. So for the rest of the time, I was A, terrified about coming back on the plane, worrying about the consequences of that, and B, suffering from the residual effects of what had happened, and not able to enjoy any of the food on offer or any of the lifestyle that was on offer. So I got back home and hit it hard with everything I could. All I had was chicken and spinach for every meal for about 3 months, and I lost about 3 stone in that 3 months, and it was going great. And in this time, I reflected upon my addiction, and it was, again, it sounds very cliched, but it was a case of I couldn't see the wood for the trees. Whilst I was in that mire and feeding that cycle, I couldn't recognize the pattern. But when I stepped out of it, I could. And it was a horrible pattern, and I came to realize that it wasn't a physical dependency, it was a mental dependency, a psychological dependency. When you eat things like chocolate was always a big one for me, and ice cream. When you feed the node in the back of your head, when you give in, when you succumb, it releases endorphins. And there's another chemical similar to endorphins that it releases, like serotonin. It releases endorphins and serotonin, both of which are chemicals which make you happy and satisfied. And I wasn't able to see this whilst I was in there because I was constantly feeding this little gremlin in the back of my head that wanted satisfaction. However, I was out of it, doing very well, losing a lot of weight. Like I said, I was 3 stone down in 3 months, which I think by anyone's measure is a good amount of progress. And I kept going, and I was working out, playing football, soccer for anyone in America, and doing well. But then I had a big injury. I hyperextended my left knee, and in doing so, I think I spoke about it in an earlier podcast, tore my ACL in half, tore my cartilage in half, fractured the bone caps of my tib and femur, my fibula and femur. And as such was out of commission for a while. Quite a while. I've just had my 3rd surgery, and it was just before my 2nd surgery that I linked up with my coach, Jay. A brilliant guy, excellent guy. I'll tweet the link out to his profile when I finish this. And I thought, since I can't exercise, I need someone that knows nutrition to make sure I don't balloon back up again. And he hasn't failed me. That's an aside though. All of this time off gave me a chance to reflect, and I realised that I wouldn't have been in that position. My knee wouldn't have damaged anywhere near as badly as it did if it hadn't been hulking around so much weight all those years. And although I had got to a point where I was active and healthier, at least, the effects were still there. It's not a case of I was out of the woods, not by any stretch. I was very, very lucky in that my cholesterol's low and my arteries are okay, but that was more dumb luck than anything else. I would eat horrific amounts of food. And when I look back, I look around now, still some of my friends do, and some of them have got the precursors to diabetes. It scares the hell out of me thinking how close I came and missed it. I mean, I ate more than them, I ate worse than them, I had worse habits than them. It was purely dumb luck that I didn't get the effects they did. And I've come to realise that it just takes one little switch to make all of the difference. No one was going to tell me. I had to learn on my own. And it was only because of it wasn't a near-death experience. I'm not going to dramatise it to that extent. But it very well could have been. My blood pressure was through the roof. This time I had a DVT. So if I can help at least one person realize that the path they're on, or see some patterns that maybe I didn't recognize the first time, and I'm not saying any of this is across the board. I'm not saying all overweight people follow these patterns. I'm not saying all overweight people that have the same opinions that I had them for the same reasons. Mine was justification, not an actual legitimate opinion. I was always of the opinion, I'm a big lad, I like my food, that's fine. I always thought I'm not the type to be lean. Some people aren't, fine. But I mean, there are different body types. I'm not going to say some people shouldn't be overweight. If you want to be, that's your decision. I don't think there's anyone that is that big that can't be less big if that's your justification. So maybe if I can help someone just see that little grain, that little twinkle in the background, that it seems very, very hard, but 3 months hard work and I was out of it. There are a few little keys to that. One was I started getting really into something. I replaced my harmful addiction with a healthy addiction. Now, a healthy addiction I'm not going to say it's flawless, it can become an unhealthy addiction very quickly if you're not clever about it. I got really into weightlifting, powerlifting to be specific. And obviously that comes with its own set of risks. You can't go balls at it and think everything's going to be fine. However, tread with care and respect, it can be much, much healthier than food addiction. And it was because of that I started seeing food differently. Once I started doing that and realizing if I ate crap, I felt like crap during a workout and my performance, my output was diminished. So I started seeing it as fuel. I severed the association between food and pleasure. And again, that's not healthy. I mean, food's something that should satisfy the senses just as much as anything should. We listen to the music we want, we watch the TV we want. And feeding your senses is just as much a part of life as anything else. But that's quite the point. When it became an addiction, it stopped being about that. So for me, I had to sever the association between food and pleasure. For the vast majority of the time, I would have one day a week where I would reintroduce chocolate, all within my macros, of course. A macrobiotic diet just deals in different proportions of fat, carbohydrates, and protein. Just shortened to macros for short. As long as it fit my macros, it was fine. But I found that even if it fit my macros, if I had chocolate every day, I'd want more chocolate. If I had ice cream every day, I'd want more ice cream. But therein lies the healthy thing about it. My coach, Jay, knows a lot about nutrition, a great deal. And I'm proof of this. I got down to 19 stone on my own, and I met up with him when I'd had my ACL surgery. I haven't really been able to go hard at working out since then. Definitely no cardio, none pretty much. And he got me to the point where I lost another 2 stone, all because of his nutrition. And I'm losing weight, eating about 3,500 calories a day for the most part, when I'm reverse dieting, that is. Now, if anyone looks at the back of a tub of ice cream can be as low as 1,500 calories. So as long as you treat it with respect and you know what you're doing, and it's not all of the time, you can have these things. But when you remove the framework, and again, this is all from my perspective, I'm not saying when anyone removes it. When I remove that framework and I just have it, it all goes out of the window. Big time. And again, I think that feeds into my autism. It's a case of when you remove the structure, the schedule, the routine, it all falls apart. So that was pivotal, absolutely pivotal to my success. It wasn't enough to just cut things down. I did lose a little bit of weight in the short term doing that, yes, but that mentality soon became redundant. I had to get more serious. The more weight you lose, the harder you've got to work to lose more weight. And again, I'm sure this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think anyone that knows anything about nutrition or weight loss or dieting will agree with me. And in my experience, again, I'm not saying for everyone, in my experience, a lot of people get very, very defensive about that when you say that eventually they'll have to prescribe to something more formalized or get more serious or more strict because cutting things out won't make the difference anymore. If you just want to lose a little bit of weight, that'll work. Of course it will. But I've seen too many people get very, very serious health risks, actually get diabetes, get high blood pressure, get aneurysms, get DVTs, heart attacks. My own mum had a heart attack at 35 because of this mentality. It's scary, and the scariest bit is food addiction is rampant. It's the one addiction that I'm sure it's not the only addiction, but the one I can think of whereby you rely upon a portion of your addiction to survive. You need to eat. And the addiction comes in a lack of balance, not a lack of substance. So, and as far as I can see, it's the most prevalent drug, if you want to assign that label to it. You need to eat. So when you go somewhere to eat, unless you're in a Whole Foods or a Holland and Barrett, your addiction, your drug, is everywhere around you. It's very hard not to just go for it, or at least I found anyway. And it's not easy to talk about this kind of stuff. I was a pathetic mess. My friends would talk to me and say, "You need to stop this. You're not well." And I would say, "I'm fine. Don't worry about it." But that very quickly came to a head when I was in Vegas. And I'm not ashamed to say I've never ever been more scared in my life. I was in a place I didn't know. I'd been there for 3 days, 2 full days. My arm was numb, my chest was tight, I could barely breathe, I was panicking. It was about, what time was it? Around 9 p.m. over there, so my family was asleep. I didn't know anybody, and a lot of people didn't speak very good English, so when people are taking blood and prodding and poking me, they couldn't just say, "Look, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's okay." There was a lot of Spanish-speaking people in Las Vegas. And obviously I don't speak Spanish, so it was just a language barrier. But the point is, I was terrified. For all I knew, I was going to die there, and no one was going to know about it. And it was senseless. There was no need for it to ever happen. So that got very deep very quickly. But the point is, there are ways and means to do it healthily, maintain the balance, the lifestyle you want, and be healthy and live a long life. I've got friends still, I'll say it to their face, they're of the opinion that I don't want to cut back on the things I like. Fine. But you don't need to. As long as you treat it with some strict discipline in the interim, you can introduce the things you want. It's about a balance. Everything I hear isn't a symphony, and everything I see isn't a kaleidoscope, so why should everything I consume sting the roof of my mouth with flavour? I love the occasional binge much as the next person. But people, please, if you're of this opinion, take 5 minutes to look inside yourselves for 2 minutes. 5 minutes for 2 minutes. And please reflect upon whether you think this same way. Because I've lost people who thought the same way. I nearly lost my mum very young, and I nearly died, and it was all because of this addiction. And like I said, it's very hard to see the wood for the trees until you're out of it. And sometimes I didn't have anyone to tell me who knew the signs. No one knew the signs. As I said, I've hung out with athletes my whole life. It wasn't until I got to uni when I met people with the same addiction, and they didn't know the signs because they weren't out of it. I'm one of the lucky ones that made it out relatively unscathed. I say unscathed, I'm coming up to my 4th knee surgery, and that's because of my weight, but that's pretty much it. And if anyone wants any advice or any help or any guidance, please just send me a direct message me, or quote me on Twitter or something. Get at me, and I'm more than happy to talk to anyone. I don't have the answers. I don't profess to have all the answers, and some of what I've said may seem like total horseshit to some people, and they may disagree, and I'm fine with people disagreeing with me. This isn't for everyone. I'm not saying this is the right answer. I'm saying if I can get through to the one person that thinks the way I used to think, then it'll all be worth it. That's it for today. I've gone over a little bit more than I normally do. Next time I promise to have a more upbeat subject and be a little bit happier. But I thought if it's the start of 2016 and everyone's going to be turning over a new leaf, if I can help one person the same way as I used to be, then all the better. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.